All right, we're live. So welcome back to Dapp University. So today we're going to look at cryptocurrency, or more so crypto technology, blockchain technology, mass adoption, and how that could actually be here sooner than you might think. All right, we're going to look at some data points and actually analyze this and try to predict, like, hey, when could this be? Okay, so we're going to look at that. We're going to look at a lot of the news that's happened in the space since yesterday. Again, we do these live streams Monday through Friday on this channel. Just turn on notifications, subscribe to the channel. You'll find out about those whenever we go live. We're looking at the crypto markets and a lot more. So before we get into that, if you're new around here, hey, I'm Gregory, and on this channel, I turn you into a blockchain master. So if that's something that you're interested in, then smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm and subscribe to this channel. And if you want to learn how to become a blockchain master step-by-step, start to finish, then head on over to dappuniversity.com/bootcamp to get started today. Last but not least, there's lots of scammers down in the comment section below. Just ignore them. Like, I'll never give you my phone number or ask you to invest with me. So we got people jumping in the chat here. We've got Culturized, Automatic Beats, Code Chap, David, Watermelon, Kevin, Francis, Y Edge. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay, so today I want to talk about mass adoption of blockchain technology and try to speculate on where we are in this process and where this could be. Because I saw some really interesting news updates come out yesterday. And the more I do these live streams and the more I'm actually in tune with the news of this space, the more I just see these data points pushing us in the direction of this technology just taking off like a rocket ship, okay? So one of the things that actually made me think about this was I saw this news story pop up a couple days ago. We can talk about this here in a minute. But Shopify now supporting NFT sales starting with Chicago Bulls, okay? So, I mean, this is crazy because even just a year ago, maybe a little before a year ago, NFTs were still kind of thought of as just like a toy, okay? Something that didn't really, wasn't taken that seriously until we saw the NFT boom that's happened over the past year, and it's totally changed people's perception of what it is, at least people who are into NFTs, all right? We've seen DeFi, decentralized finance, move from being a toy to actually making people life-changing money, all right, by jumping into, yield farming and doing savings and lending and speculating on DeFi tokens, okay? We've seen cryptocurrency boom, Bitcoin change, its narrative from, this sort of speculative investment to an institutional grade investment, all this stuff. And we're actually at a critical point right now with the technology where it's changing, where it can actually reach this inflection point to become suitable for mass adoption. And so I want to talk about that and actually look at some data points that support this and try to see where we are with this, okay? So first, let's talk about like crypto and blockchain technology at its infancy so that you can sort of see and understand what I mean by this and where it's been over the past couple of years. Because even if you haven't really been tuning into the space that long, I think you'll still resonate this to some degree. Okay, so I saw this tweet there come yesterday. I thought it was a pretty good explanation of this. So this is from Chris Dixon, and he's talking about, what new technology looks like and what the evolution of that technology also looks like as it undergoes this change, becoming more mature and providing more utility value to people. So he says that new technologies often arrive with flaws, toy-like, expensive, janky, lacking clear applications, etc. To predict how they develop, it's important to dig deeper. Here's a few common new ways technologies can be misunderstood. And that's, I think, that crypto has been in this phase of being misunderstood for the past several years. And now it's changing its perception to where people are understanding it more. They're actually seeing the utility value of it. That's critical for it to undergo that change, for it to actually, become widely adopted. So it's just a toy. This is something that was people said about the early telephone. Early on, stuff like blogs and services like Twitter are mostly used to discuss niche tech topics. I actually remember when I was in school, when Twitter first came around, one of my teachers was kind of said how stupid Twitter was. Like, I don't get it, because originally when you posted on Twitter, you actually were going to send a text. Like, that's what the 140 character limit was for tweets, was like you had to send it for the text message. He was like, I just don't get it. I'm getting on my phone. Like, what am I going to say? Like, okay, I'm walking to class in my new jeans. Like, he literally said that. Like, that was his roast on Twitter. And I was like, well, that didn't age well. So social media technology was thought of as a toy. Like, most people thought social media was just about like posting in your friend's wall with Facebook, and now it has become an integral part of online business, right? Like, business to business deals are done over social media, all this crazy stuff. And you see this take off. So crypto is definitely going through that phase of evolution. People think it's like a toy. It's clunky. It's got bad user experience. It's expensive to use. But you can see how these things take off over time. Okay, you can see all these long-term price trends for cable, internet services, photographs, all that type of stuff. And so the important thing you can actually visualize this a little bit with crypto, because sometimes the hype around the technology does not actually match the utility itself. And that's why I think some people get disillusioned about cryptocurrency in the first place, or blockchain technology, is when the price is really high compared to the actual utility value, it doesn't make sense. We looked at an article yesterday, where they're talking about it's time to ban crypto. They don't understand why cryptocurrencies have value. Don't understand why people use blockchain in the first place. Well, I think sometimes that's because the price of the cryptocurrency are detached from the actual fundamentals of what's going on. And so you can see that here with this sort of graph, a way to think about it. It's called the Gartner hype cycle. So this basically tries to visualize how people feel about new technology versus what it can actually do. And this is kind of a sentiment checker. And I think this really matches what's happened with crypto in the past, which is basically we have this peak of inflated expectations where you get really excited about something, and then you get into it and you realize, oh, it is still kind of a toy, or it's not as adopted as you think it is, and it goes through this sort of trough of disillusionment where people don't really care about it anymore as much, but then it actually enters on this slope of enlightenment into this plateau of productivity. Okay. We've seen this with other technology in the past. We saw it with the dot-com boom, right? Had these inflated expectations. People were, investing in IPOs like crazy. Of course, the dot-com bubble burst with this period, but the internet ultimately prevailed, and is something that we really can't survive without to the same degree. We don't have the same quality of life without the internet these days, okay? So I would say that crypto has definitely gone through this peak of inflated expectations. A lot of the crypto technology that we're actually using right now, and I think you can apply this to different aspects of crypto technology. So, tokens, I think, have gone through this with ICOs already. Crypto's kind of gone through this with early ICOs, early crypto investments. I think NFTs have already kind of gone through this peak of inflated expectations and are actually on this sort of uptrend. I mean, I think that's a pretty important data point, is the fact that some a second ago, where Shopify now supports the NFT sales. We're starting to see them go through another big boom. Okay. And so if I were to, guess where crypto is on this sort of essential life cycle towards mass adoption, is that we're on this slope of, kind of on this inflection point of slope enlightenment to a plateau of productivity. Okay. And so how do I think we get there? Well, I think it comes from a multitude of use cases sort of coalescing into the same trajectory, aside from just DeFi, aside from just NFTs, and actually opening the door for what we can do with crypto technology. And one of the things that's actually going to flip that switch to where you can do more with crypto technology is actually making the tech better itself. And so I watched the talk from Vitalik Buterin from ETHCC a couple weeks ago. I guess it was last week maybe. Where he's actually talking about Ethereum and what needs to happen next. I'm actually going to record a video on this. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, check it out whenever it comes out. But he's talking about basically what's there to do in the Ethereum ecosystem beyond DeFi, right? Beyond NFTs. We've seen these clear use cases emerge that have absolutely blossomed, okay? Basically, DeFi has done really well because it's the low-hanging fruit for blockchain technology. Basically, the financial system has a lot of pain points that suck. It takes a long time to send money. There's no transparency, all that type of stuff. And DeFi can make that a lot better pretty easily, okay? Because it's a pay-to-play system. People are already going to pay for expensive transactions because it's making them money, all right? Even Ethereum being somewhat still in its early sort of toy-like phase, what we saw in that tweet thread a minute ago, where it's kind of clunky, it's kind of expensive. But what Vitalik is saying is basically we're at this point where the technology is changing, where we can actually do more stuff with Ethereum beyond just, DeFi. So what are those things? Well, basically, Ethereum is starting to scale, layer 2 scaling solutions. And what that's going to do is make transactions faster and cheaper, where it unlocks the possibility for actually new crypto use cases. So some of the use cases he lays out in his talk are decentralized social media, for example. And he says there's a real need for this because basically social media already has pain points people are aware of, censorship. They don't like how engagement on social media works, that a lot of low quality content, takes the spotlight. all this type of stuff, and that crypto can potentially make those things better. Or we can see experiments of those things that could actually take off. And we couldn't really do that on layer 1 Ethereum as it exists today in this slow, sort of toy-like expensive phase. But as we move to Ethereum 2.0, relatively soon in the grand scheme of things, and as we basically make transactions cheaper, then it opens the door to these new types of use cases. And so basically, if a lot of our technology has gone through this peak of inflated expectations, through this trough of disillusionment, and actually get onto this plateau of productivity with a variety of use cases converging together, DeFi, NFTs, social media, and if a bunch of other sticky use cases that actually provide value to the end user can come out of this, shift in technology for what's possible, and the existing use cases can become more widely adopted, DeFi, NFTs, if we can get over regulatory clarity on those things, if we can start using NFTs for intellectual property rights, all this stuff, then that is a perfect storm for a tipping point to actually, for blockchain technology to permeate, quite a bit of our existence, okay, and actually reach that level of mass adoption. So we can kind of speculate on how long this can take, but one thing that is really important to understand is looking at the rate at which this stuff is actually getting adopted. And so I pulled up this tweet yesterday when I was talking about a price analysis from Raoul Pal. Again, I've talked about him a ton on this channel. Super great resource, super smart guy in this space, on the finance side of things for sure. But he actually talks about the adoption curves for the internet versus the adoption curves of crypto, okay? And so you can see sort of the Metcalfe's law adoption curves. Again, Metcalfe's law is all about the network effect. Essentially, the whole idea is that when you have technologies that require people to use them, and that's how they get their value. Basically, if you have like a phone network is more valuable the more people use it, and the value is actually, it has a exponential relationship to the people who use it. The value does. Basically, what he's saying is that the crypto is actually growing at a faster rate that the internet was at its current life cycle. So you could basically speculate on where you can sort of speculate on how long it took the internet to actually reach mass adoption and reach the number of people that it has today based on its life cycle, and actually graph the rate at which crypto is being adopted right now. And you can see that we're actually a lot farther along in the crypto trajectory than honestly I personally thought we might be. And we could get to that level of massive adoption a lot faster than most people think. And so if we truly are, by this analogy here in, the late 90s, as an analogy to the internet, then, think about how big the internet was in the early 2000s. Okay, it was absolutely massive. You aren't to the point that we use the internet and rely upon it today, but it's hard to argue that you weren't at a mass adoption phase. So that's where it gets a little bit gray area, is how do you actually define mass adoption? How do you define the number of users? How do you define the number of applications? How do you define the market cap, XYZ, whatever it is? But the whole point here is that basically, even though that is kind of a gray area about how do you define that thing, that it's moving at a rapid rate, that we have a lot of new technology that's coming onto the scene that's making all this possible, and then we're about to probably see the floodgates open for a world of new possibilities based upon the technological trends that are converging together and the new technical capabilities that are just around the corner. So let me know what y'all think down in the comment section below. Where are we? Is crypto going to see its mass adoption wave in 1 year, 2 years, 5 years? Let me know down in the comment section below. Somebody said, did you notice universities offering courses in fintech crypto these days? Yeah, totally. So let's go ahead and check on the markets here. Let's go ahead and pull it up on my screen here. So Bitcoin, right? We're kind of trying to breach the $40,000 level. We breached it yesterday, but we haven't been able to break it confidently. All right, so this is a pretty important level in my opinion. I've been talking about this in the live streams the past several days. We've been in this bearish trend for basically since May, so for months now. We've been continuing to make lower highs, lower lows. Of course, we tried to break out of this one here, but basically we kind of you've seen this sort of resistance line. Again, I'm not a super sophisticated, trader, TA guy, but, I've watched this for a long time, and this is a very obvious resistance point that we just broke out of, okay? So that was encouraging, right? Pretty bullish, but we also have this level here, so $40,000. Okay, so this is sort of the next point of resistance that, in my opinion, we really need to break above in order for us to get too excited. Because, you could, by another way of analyzing this, kind of look at this as a range, because we still have candle bodies that are down here. You kind of see this as a $30,000 to $40,000 range. And in my opinion, I don't want to get too excited until Bitcoin sort of confidently breaks $40,000 before we get too excited, okay? For me to truly flip bullish and think that we have some positive momentum going forward. Now, the likelihood of that looks like it's increasing because we didn't exactly just like kiss 40K and get, horribly rejected, go back down to 30K. So it could take us a couple days before we're out of the woods on this one before we get any more clarity, but that's kind of what I'm waiting on before I get too excited. So I still am in the camp that Bitcoin is leading the market. I don't think that we're going to see ETH just like blast off while Bitcoin's kind of at this critical resistance level. I think the overall market is such a powerful force. I think Bitcoin is still king for the time being. Let's actually look at Ether price. Of course, we do have EIP 1559 coming out next week. As far as I know, unless anything has changed on the dev schedule. So ETH, same story, all right? We're kind of at the same resistance level, $2,400. Yeah, we're just going to kind of wait till Bitcoin does its thing. Yeah, EIP 5059 coming soon. Yep, totally. Somebody said crypto's here to stay. Yeah, crypto is definitely here to stay. And that's one thing that, makes me, that's one thing that makes me, sorry, I'm trying to change this. That's something that makes me, lean bullish for sure. Sorry, I don't know why this doesn't come up. On the overall markets right now. Because it just makes me feel like it's less and less and less of a possibility that we're going to enter into some sort of long-term, bear trend. Like, I don't know. I think it's more likely that things could continue to kind of get boring and consolidate, and maybe have a longer kind of bullish trend than just going into a bear market, simply because of the fundamentals of what's happening right now. Uh-oh. Looks like my stream is frozen. Can y'all still hear me okay? Let's see here. Okay. The preview of my stream inside my YouTube studio here is frozen, but as long as y'all can hear me okay. Okay, awesome. Anyways, so yeah, the fundamentals, like I was saying before, are so strong that it would really surprise me if we went into some crazy like long-term winter. I think the more likely scenario is if things aren't bullish, is that we just get boring. That would be my guess. So, anyways, let's go back to the Shopify news because this is what kind of got me thinking about mass adoption of blockchain technology in the first place. Shopify is now supporting NFT sales starting with Chicago Bulls. So Shopify, if you don't know what it is, basically it's a platform that lets people spin up online e-commerce stores. So basically, You just create a Shopify account, you get your own custom, subdomain of Shopify, and now you can just sell products online. It's gotten really popular with like drop shipping and stuff like that, where people can just like list products and then have other people do the fulfillment for them. And Shopify is now supporting, you can sell pretty much anything you want to in terms of e-commerce on Shopify, but it's now supporting NFT sales, okay? And they're actually starting to support it with the Chicago Bulls. So basically, Shopify, a leading e-commerce platform, lets website ads, storefronts accept payments, has also added support for NFTs, allowing store owners to sell the crypto collectibles directly without relying on external marketplace. So that's big. So basically, for people who are trying to jump on the NFT trend, and sell to a consumer who's less proficient with blockchain technology, they can create an NFT, sell it in the Shopify store, so that they don't have to go on like a website like OpenSea and buy it with Ether. And so I think this is actually a pretty cool development for a really particular type of customer. So one would be like sports collectors, because they're talking about the Chicago Bulls right here, wanted to do, they want being one of the first customers to roll this out. And so that could be a pretty ideal customer, because at the end of the day, the customer doesn't need to hold Ether in order to receive their NFT, okay? Because if they sell it with Shopify, they can put in their credit card information, and then the merchant can deliver the NFT to an Ethereum wallet that they control, have full custody over. But they don't need to move the NFT out of their wallet. They have the ownership to it, right? They could now, if they want to get their hands dirty and actually use the blockchain, they could fund their wallet with some Ether, send it to a marketplace, flip it on OpenSea or something like that. But in terms of delivery, all they need is the wallet to hold it. So I could see sports collectors being a pretty good market here. Another could be basically small time. Not even say small time, but just any digital artist, right? Who wants to put up a Shopify store where their end user isn't as crypto savvy, but then they can just have a wallet and go through the same experience like I'm talking about. So, I think it's good because it gets people into crypto in a way that sort of gets their feet wet without them having to just jump all in and go through this experience. And that will still funnel more people down into actually the crypto native way of doing things. So I'm super excited about this. It looks like they're supporting multiple different NFT types and blockchains. So they're delivering on Ethereum and also on top of Flow blockchain. So this will have wide Ethereum support. Somebody says it helped a lot of clients build out $1 million businesses on Shopify for wasting my time building them WordPress for 10 years. Yeah, totally. Somebody says stoner cats. Yeah, totally. So, yes. So speaking of NFTs, these are still having a pretty big trend, independent of what's happening with the crypto market, and that's what I think is really cool. What I was talking about earlier with this this Gartner hype cycle is that NFTs can go through this cycle independent of what's happening with the overall crypto market. Okay, so NFTs have been on this run, still on this trend upward despite what's been going on with cryptocurrency prices. We see Shopify rolling out support for NFTs. A lot of people have been asking about this. That's where we're going to do the NFT Masterclass. It's actually tomorrow. So I put a link down in the description below. Just scroll down there, you'll find it if you want to join us. We got one day before we do that. Somebody says, sell your Shopify store as an NFT. That's awesome. Any word on an NFT ETF? That's a tongue twister right there. Oh, so another thing that was the meme that's now floating around the internet is the the shadowy coders meme. So yesterday, saw some news floating around from Senator Elizabeth Warren talking about, crypto. She's not had very nice things to say about crypto, but she says crypto puts the financial system in hands of shadowy super coders. So this has been this is now the meme for everybody who's, like you all watching this channel, who are into the blockchain tech, who are into, learning the technical skills to make this tribe. So maybe we should make a Shadowy Supercoders tribe, or Shadowy Supercoders NFT as the Dapp University community. That could be our tagline. I kind of look like a shadowy supercoder inside this dark background here. Somebody says NFT is perfect for organ transplants. So if you got any other questions here in the chat. So that's a good question. So somebody says, do you think we'll see more platforms develop such as Axie Infinity as confidence grows in decentralized technology, like social media, etc.? How could they work? So that's a good question. I'll break this down into two parts. So the first one is Axie Infinity. Can we see people come up with more apps like this? So the short answer is yes, and they already are. So let me see if I can pull some screen here. So we're already seeing other apps, come out like this, which is like Illuvium, for example. So part of it for Axie Infinity is the play to earn model. That's what makes it so viral. Is basically, it's play to earn. You can earn while you play. So we're seeing projects come out like this, like Illuvium, for example. So the real challenge here with games is that games are really hard to make. Okay. The development for a game is the barrier of entry for creating a fun game that works is way higher than just like forking a DeFi protocol. Okay, so one of the reasons that DeFi exploded, because basically like it's not that hard on the grand scheme of things to like go take somebody else's open source DeFi application and just copy the code and change it to create something new. I mean, this happened like wildfire last year during the DeFi summer. And that's one of the reasons we saw DeFi explode. I always saw original apps come out and create new things, but a lot of what DeFi was doing was basically just taking things we already understand and moving them over to the blockchain and creating them with Solidity. Now, a lot of those projects should have been audited, so it should have slowed down quite a bit, but they just didn't do that. They just put it out there. So anyways, DeFi happened really fast for that reason, but I think gaming's going to take a little bit longer to boom quite the same way, simply because it takes a lot longer for a mature game to be developed this way. Now, that being said, one possibility is that we see games adopt crypto that are already established, okay? Or there's some game studios that have tons of funding and that have teams that could basically do something a lot faster. They could enter into the space, okay? But play to earn, I think, is one big way that crypto and gaming can take off. Another is like in-game assets with NFTs that you can take outside of the game and sell in a marketplace. Anything like metaverse related, where maybe you experience the game in the metaverse, or you can have items from the game be in your metaverse. Like, think about if you earn something in a game and then you could like put it on your wall in your room or something. Or maybe you had a space where you could like, put your 3D glasses on, you could see your room around you, and you could see like all your items that you collected from a game. I think that could be pretty cool. Someone says sandbox. Yep, totally. So also about like, they asked about social media. So I'm going to release a video on this, so I don't want to give away too much in the live stream. So subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications. You'll find out about it. Somebody says potential video idea covering different ETH programming languages. So I'll tell you what they are right now. So Solidity, Viper are the two big ones. Okay. Honestly, Solidity is the leader by far. If you're trying to pick out which one you want to learn, definitely I would stick with Solidity if you don't have a good reason to choose otherwise. So it says I went from CEO, construction worker, covered in oil every day, to being CEO of my own company, crypto tech development. Thanks to Gregory, I cannot thank you. Awesome. That's great. I bet it's nice not to be covered in oil every day. So one of my first jobs, I worked for a moving company. I didn't like that job very much. It was hot and heavy. And we actually had to wear a black uniform in the sun in July. I just started coding. What is the next advice at 31 years old? Build your own project. Do enough tutorials to where you can get good enough to build your own project. Because when you build your own project, number one, it gets you excited about what you're doing because you have an idea. You want to build your own project by something you're excited about. Pick something that really kind of like, whenever you think about it, you're like, oh man, I want to go do that. Because that's going to ease over the frustration that you're going to experience when you learn. Because when you go try to build it, you're going to get stuck and you're not going to know how to do certain things. And the best way to learn is to get yourself unstuck. So like, you're going to have to Google like how to fix problems or connect with other people to say, hey, how do I learn this? But that's when you really learn, is basically when you realize the pain that there's something you want to do, you don't know how to do it. And then when you learn it, like you've learned that lesson for life. And you need to do that multiple times over and over and over again to get good at coding. But that's going to be a really frustrating, boring process if you're building something you don't like. But if you have a cool idea and you want to create it, then that's going to get you motivated to get past those problems and do it in a low pressure environment. Don't do it like while you've got a boss breathing down your neck saying, hey, I need this done. Do it on your own terms, right? Build something you want to build, even if it doesn't end up being like a product that people use, something you just want to create. And that's the best way to learn. But do enough tutorials to get to that level where you can start building something for yourself. And if you want to go out and get a job later, then build that thing, use it as a portfolio, and prove somebody that you know what you're doing. All right, everybody, that's all I got for today. As always, smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. That really helps these videos out so the more people can learn about blockchain. If you're as fast at this technology as I am, you want to get your hands dirty, how can you get started today? You go to my YouTube homepage, you find my free courses there. They're like Udemy courses, but they're totally free. And if you like those and you want to take the next step, or hey, maybe you want to take a master's shortcut entirely, actually become a blockchain master step-by-step, start to finish over at dappuniversity.com/bootcamp. You don't have to be an expert to get started today. Help people with zero coding experience become real-world blockchain developers in a matter of months. So that's all I've got. Until next time, thanks for watching Dapp University.